Good morning and welcome to the University of Salamanca. First of all, I will welcome our Regional Deputy Minister of Universities and Research, Professor Pilar Garcés. Thank you for being here, and also the General Coordinator of EC2U, dear Ludovic, and give the word to Professor Efrem Yildiz to introduce the speeches.
Thank you very much, dear Rector. It's a pleasure to introduce our special guests. More than guests, they are part of the project somehow and directly. So before giving the word to our coordinator, General Coordinator, Professor Ludovic Thilly, you know him, most of you, because of his hard work and insistence on achieving the goals we are looking for. So, Ludovic, please, the role is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Dear Rector, dear Ricardo, dear Deputy Minister, dear Pilar, dear Efrem, dear colleagues, it's a real honor to be here in Salamanca again. This is I think the fourth time that I'm here, and in particular in this room. I remember a few years ago we had the celebration of the 800th year anniversary of Salamanca University with the Magna Carta signatures. It was a very memorable moment when we also discussed about values of the academic world, and I think in a way this is connected to what we are doing here all together. I will not actually say too much yet on the EC2U Alliance, because a bit later this morning I will make a general presentation of the EC2U Alliance. So I will not spend too much time on this, but I would really like to say that we all arrived here on Tuesday, so we've been already working very hard. It was mostly closed meetings until today, where we revised the work plan. We looked at how we are making progress, and I'm very happy to say that we are soon going to celebrate the first 12 months, 1 year of the EC2U Alliance, and we have actually already achieved a lot, more than what we could expect, I must say. There have been challenges, but we are finding solutions. And we clearly show that this initiative that was launched by the European Commission is really making a step forward in what we can achieve in the higher education system. And in particular, the Alliance is more than the sum of its individual components, which means that we are creating a real community. A bit earlier this morning, we had the plenary council where we had our 30 associated partners, the municipalities, the students' associations, some regional governments, some chambers of commerce, science parks, etc. 30 associated partners. And we also see that we are starting to cooperate with them, but they also start to make cooperation among themselves, which means that clearly EC2U is going to be not only a consortium of universities, but a consortium of all actors from the knowledge square, which is education, research, innovation, and service to society. So really, this is why I'm so happy to be here. First, because this is the first time we have a face-to-face hybrid, actually, meeting. We have been working hard only via WebEx and Zoom meetings. We have actually achieved already a lot, but we clearly understand that it is when we meet in the same room that we can make even more progress. So, which means that we will probably be even more proactive in the next 2 years, which is a good sign. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because indeed, we need to see each other. We need to show that we are helping the higher education system to make progress. And the presence of the Deputy Minister here is a sign indeed of the importance of such initiative. So it's a real pleasure to be here at this public forum. The colleagues online and the citizens can follow it on the Salamanca web TV. This is absolutely fantastic. And again, I'm very looking forward to the next 2 days for the interaction with all of you. Thank you.
Thilly is not only enthusiastic, but he's insistent. So we are in good hands in that sense. And now I have the honor to give the role to our Deputy Minister of Universities and Research. Professor Pilar is not just part of EC2U, she is. And when I asked her to participate as associated partner from the regional government, she immediately said, Efrem, we are in. And this is why we are very happy having you here. And thank you for coming. I know your commitments are huge, but you have just booked some short time for us, and this is why we are happy. And I'm giving the role to you now. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Efrem, for having invited me to stay here with you, to share with you all that your work is doing. And I can see that from the coordinator, you are doing an excellent job with all the meetings. I can see that it's week number 3. The other 2 were a little bit, as you said, bidimensional. Now we are instead of face-to-face, mask-to-mask situation. But it's quite nice. Thank you very much, Rector, because it's always a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here in the University of Salamanca. As you know, in Castilla and Leon, we've got 4 public universities, but obviously Salamanca is our dear university, not because it's more the, let's say, I don't want to say it's the oldest one, but it's probably the one that was born before, and has got a lot of tradition, but at the same time, it merges with the future in advanced technology and obviously foreseeing what is to come. And that's here you are in order to see all that. Because I'm going to be speaking later, I don't really want to make any particular point on specific aspects, because we're going to see a little bit later. But something that is very important is that, for me, the European Alliance, the campus, are going to be the cornerstone of the nature and essence of Europe. Because now we are living in turmoil times. We know that things are very relative. Nothing's stable, right? But someone said that the constants, the constants of a weathercock is to change, which is a contradiction in terms. But at the same time, it's something important for us because we have to maintain certain aspects. Europe is somewhere in the world. We have to be somewhere in the world because here, freedom, democracy, everything that was good for people, for human beings, was born. And I think we have to claim that. And we have to be, even though we live in turmoil times, as I said, we need to be together, strong. And I think this kind of alliances in Europe, we have to be the beam of society, being universities and these centers of knowledge. So thank you very much for all your efforts. Thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much for opening your cities, because as the name of this alliance says, EC2U, we can play on words, is EC2U. Easy for you to come with me, to be with you, right? So you can play with words there. Let's change a little bit. Easy to you, because it's something that is European and is going to be something nice to be working on. Now, this morning, when we were taking the pictures, everyone said, we have to say easy to you, and I was going to say the longest word we've got for human beings, which is smile, and smile always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Deputy Minister and friend Pilar. We know that, playing with the words, with the etymologies, with the semantics is somehow excellent. I think this is the best part of what the human being can really express in such circumstances. We are using the word in order to transmit ideas, convictions, and projects, this is the EC2U. And this is why we are happy in this sense also using the words. And now I'm going to give the role to our rector. First of all, thanking him for his unconditional support for the whole time that we have been working on the project and then launching it and then putting in practice all the activities we are now talking about and we are starting to work on. I'm thankful to you and the group of EC2U, Usal, has been highly supported. He has been even signing things sometimes without being so convinced, but as he knew that we were going to do a good job, he just said, go forward, I'm with you, and I'm thankful to you also to be here now for the opening day, and now you have the role.
Thank you very much, Efrem, for your effort and work with your team. And thank you very much also, Pilar. It's so easy thanks to you and the support of the regional government. And always thank you to Ludovic also. Welcome, colleagues, dear colleagues. I would like to warmly welcome you to the University of Salamanca, to the third EC2U Alliance Forum. We can finally meet face to face or mask to mask after a long period of social distancing due to the pandemic. We are so happy to have you here. I'm sure that this meeting will help us to strengthen the bonds that unite us and the commitment that we have acquired with the creation of this EC2U macro project. Our Alliance project does not only cover the three fundamental pillars of innovation, research, and education that are crucial for any institution of higher education. It is also closely related to three fundamental United Nations development goals, health and well-being, quality education, and sustainable cities and communities. Despite the pandemic, we have been able to continue and implement the activities of the EC2U project, thanks to Ludovic, to Efrem, all the team. Thank you very much for this effort. And we are already achieving the first result from the colossal effort made by the different working groups of our alliance. This pilot project gives us the opportunity to pool our strengths and objectives to fight for a real European higher education system. The education system we are building together will undoubtedly contribute to creating a more cohesive and better educated Europe. If we gather our efforts to train the present and future European generations, we will succeed in building the Europe of our dreams, the foundation of which is an educated society, a defender of freedom and academic autonomy. Education is our strength and our alliance in taking the first steps towards a multilateral cooperation that can only enrich our higher education system. In this context, the University of Salamanca actively participates in the EC2U Alliance with all the means at its disposal. At the moment, we have already taken the first steps towards our final goals. We have already created and will now implement the official European Master's degree in European languages, cultures, and societies in contact at our 7 member universities. This master's degree will be unique in Europe because of its à la carte structure. The master program is a groundbreaking model in terms of study structure. A student starting with a master here in Salamanca can get up to 4 official degrees in 4 different countries, studying in up to 4 different languages. We believe that this type of innovative master's degree, not yet implemented in Europe, is the future. The University of Salamanca leads one of the 3 EC2U virtual institutes, the Virtual Research Institute in Quality Education, which has a pilot project profiling language and cultural diversity. In this respect, macro research groups are being now created and will commonly develop European research and innovation projects. The other 6 universities involved in the project contribute as much as the University of Salamanca to developing a large list of joint initiatives like common joint masters and multilateral research and mobility activities. All this work is exactly what Europe as a whole is looking for, a solid and exemplary higher education system. But we will not only have an impact in Europe. We are determined to transfer our EC2U higher education experience to countries outside the European Union, particularly those that now are building the Euro-Ibero-American higher education area. Our alliance will be a reference here. On behalf of all the rectors of the 7 partner universities, we thank you for the work and the results achieved by the members of the EC2U family. You have done an exceptional job and achieved unique results. Together, we will make it possible for the new academic generation to be educated as the European continent desires. Quality in research, innovation, inclusion, and international mobility is closer and closer to the desired dream, a free, well-educated, and cohesive European society. In these few intensive days, the EC2U community will work, debate, and be productive. We have conference, roundtables, and collaborations of external partners. I'm sure that we'll achieve very positive results, which will allow us to continue fighting for the academic vocation of the 7 universities involved in the Alliance. Welcome and enjoy Salamanca, this wonderful city, a city that understands itself in the context of this old university. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Rector, for these warm words and encouraging the whole groups with the different working with him and on the different activities. And now this is the time where we have opened the let's say the session. Next part of today will be a wonderful and nice conference on behalf of our Deputy Minister. I don't know how we are going now to, shall we wait a bit or shall we start immediately? So, allow me to introduce you again our Deputy Minister and Professor Pilar Garcés, who is not just, now we know her from her duties within our regional government, but as I know her for a long time, I would love to just underline some short, let's say, points related to her career as a professor, as responsible of the university, and also as, of course, deputy minister at the regional level. Allow me to just highlight some points. Professor Pilar Garcés, Deputy Minister, has been for a long period working as Vice Rector for International Relations at the University of Valladolid, which is, let's say, a sister university of Salamanca, which is located in Castilla y León. And her experience in that sense is honestly very high and very rich. She was also, before she became Vice Deputy or at the regional level, she was also the director for the universities. And it's there where we shared nice experiences, not only at the local level, but at the international level. As she's always active, she tries to push for those projects that are not only attractive, but also very useful. Indeed, she has been the director also for, or manager, I don't know whether director is the right word, for twinning project with Morocco, where we have even somehow taken to Morocco our ECT credit system, European credit transfer system, which is probably going to be applied in the future in those regions where a common system is needed. But at the same time also, as she is very active, few years ago, we decided to put in common also another project where she was, let's say, how would I say, the pushing and encouraging person for a common project where the 4 public universities were going to promote the Spanish language in the United States. And we achieved some results, but due to the pandemic, everything has been stopped. So, but we are sure that we are going to start with it again. And you know, as I told you, we are happy having a deputy minister with such initiatives, activities, intensive work. And I'm not going to take much more time. I could talk the whole morning about her qualities, but I think she will delight us with that topic about multilingualism, which is a very and needed topic today. Because whether we want or not, Europe is a multilingual society, multicultural society that somehow needs to have a balanced way in order to appreciate this diversity, this encouraging multicultural daily life that today, in my opinion, is much more than needed. So thank you for coming, Pilar, and I'm going to give you the role. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Efrem. Well, thank you for staying here. I'm going to say hello as well for all the people who are following us through the screen, and welcome to this seminary or this talk in which we are going to discuss a little bit what is the role of languages in the international arena, right? Not only institutions, but in the international arena. And let me, I've been thinking about that quite a lot. Because one thing I have to say is that although now I am working in politics, I am a professor. That's my essence. And that's something I cannot forget, and I will never forget. And that is something that has helped me go through politics as well. There's something that we have to say that. And a reflection that normally I used to entail is that, so entertain, is that here there's a group of people also following us from different screens, 7 different cities, but maybe lots of languages that people speak. We are speaking the lingua franca, English, because that's the language in which we can understand each other in a way that's, it was Latin in the Renaissance. No, not exactly the same, because Latin was not a language spoken in any particular country, while English is spoken geographically in particular countries as first language. So it's not exactly the same, but the lingua franca, English, allows us, right, to understand each other with the minimum effort, which is something that obviously we all have as an aim and objective. But let me give you an example. When I am with you, with European colleagues from university, students, workers for the university, I feel at home. I feel at ease. I feel understood. While when I am sometimes in my political issues and everybody speaks Spanish, I feel a foreigner. And nobody understands me, right? So what is the role of languages then, right? Because sometimes you speak the same language and you feel completely isolated, completely an alien. And when you speak different languages, and even when you try to speak other languages that you're not familiar with, you feel much more at home, right? So let's break a little bit this topic that languages are something that are a barrier. Languages are not a barrier. We have to actually try and destroy that barrier, and that is one of the objectives, I guess, of this alliance, right? To make this, of course, a barrier. And another thing that we have to see in Europe, and is so rich, is that sometimes we've got expressions in different languages, right? For example, when we are at ease and we are having a great time, we use the Italian expression, il dolce far niente. So it's important. Or when we use in French, c'est la vie, right? But there, laissez faire, laissez passer. So we use so many expressions in different languages because we have a common stem, a common root that we should not forget, right? Also having, of course, sometimes Latin as well as Now, the promotion of multilingualism. Now, in this case, we've got a cartoon saying, a foreign language is tough enough without having to learn dialects, right? So we've got here, what happens here with the promotion of multilingualism? I think multilingualism is a key question, right, in Europe, in order sometimes to overcome also some problems that we might have with other co-official languages in our countries, right? Or dialects in that sense, right? Why? Because we have to promote, obviously, both languages, or both parts of the language. On one hand, we have to promote all the different languages that are official in Europe, that are being spoken, and each country, of course, they have to promote their own languages or dialects in order to be able to speak with a different community. But this is not an opposition. That is richness, and we have to overcome that richness by especially teaching the strength of having this kind of multilingual communities. So language, we should take away this, or do away with this idea of languages being always a barrier. It takes an effort to learn languages. Yes, it takes an effort. But everything takes an effort. If you have to study maths, it takes an effort. If you have to study physics, it takes an effort. If you have to study sustainability, how to make the planet sustainable, it makes an effort. Everything takes an effort, but is worthwhile. And that is something that we really have to see. So the European Council is promoting multilingualism and is actually encouraging all of us to see or to continue being with this aspect. Let me just go a little bit. I don't know if I talk from there, will you listen to me? No. No. Oh, okay, because I can't see very well, but maybe you can see much better what this multilingualism, the European Council actually was promoting, right? Now, and in the next one, right, why is multilingualism so important, right? Well, as you can see, there are several aspects, and let's see if I can see it from my, sorry about that, from my iPad, because I've got glasses and I can't see very well okay. Why is multilingualism so important? Well, multilingualism is very important because it takes us into different cultures. It opens our minds, and obviously it makes us understand much better. I read a sentence from an Indian writer, very was quite famous by his novel August. He's called Upamanyu Chatterjee, and he said something quite striking. He said, the more languages you speak, the less likelihood you have to become a terrorist. Which is something that makes us think, right, how languages actually opens a window to look at a world. It makes us think that there are other ideas that we can contrast, that we can contribute, right, with. And it takes us away from our own selves. So this idea, this is a very strong sentence, but he experienced it himself, also being brought bilingual in his native language in India and in English, because he was then taken to England. So that is something really important that we have to take in mind, right? Then, what is the motto of Europe, united in diversity, right? That is the motto. So it means that we really have to appreciate diversity. It's not us against the others. It's all of us together. Now, if we talk about pragmatics in linguistics, why do we always say that me and you are opponents? That you and me, or you and we are different. And when we make the difference, normally is to say that we are better than you, right? So we have to avoid that, because Europe had a specific aim, which was be united in diversity. Now, it's important to see that, because the phrase is taken from Ernesto Teodoro Moneta, who was an Italian who received the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1908, right? And he was the one who was promoting that in the motto in Latin, saying united in diversity. And that is something we have to continue doing in Europe, because being that the motto is that where we have to get to. Now, what is the European Union doing to promote multilingualism? We're going to see the positive side. Obviously, we have to motivate. As in the cartoon, when they say, I selected Spanish so that you can get your allowance. No? So we need to motivate our students to learn languages. If we don't motivate them, of course, they are not going to learn any language whatsoever. But we have to motivate them somehow, right? So Europe is doing a lot in multilingualism, because, of course, it's promoting the use of different languages, the study of different languages, and is promoting, obviously, with the Erasmus program. Is one of the best programs, I think, that Europe has ever had, in order to promote not only languages, but this idea of sharing culture, of sharing ideas, of sharing concepts, and of making us know each other, right? Now, there are lots of families that we know that grew up from the Erasmus program. There are lots of couples that live in different countries, that speak 2 or 3 languages, because they met in this program. I think this program was one of the most successful programs of Europe, and we really have to continue promoting it. So, it is true that now, sometimes, the Commission, right, as I said, is responding to this promotion of multilingualism by doing what? Well, in the first place, is taking actions recommended in the Council recommendation on a comprehensive approach to the teaching of learning of languages. This includes working with member states and leading experts in language education to modernize language teaching and to make it more efficient. That's something we have to do. We have to make the learning of languages more efficient and more up to date to what we have what we have here and what we are going to have in the future. Now, at the same time, it strengthens its drives for evidence-based policy making, rendering EU legislation more effective in providing public goods such as a cohesive and multilingual society. So the EU is doing quite a lot when talking about that. But, of course, as we need innovation in language teaching, right? Now, we have to award the European language label to citizens and projects fostering the development of innovative language teaching techniques. That is important. And I'm saying that because even though Europe is doing a lot for the promotion of languages, for taking innovation in language teaching, it's got also sometimes not such a positive, a positive aspect. But let's see, what happened with languages? Okay, languages, as Graham Greene said, that we are born men, but we have the duty of becoming a human being. And how do we become a human being? We become a human being by our relationship with others. So men, as we said, become human beings with the relation with others. What happens when communication fails, right? That's something we have to see, what happens with communication fails and what is important to do. Well, in this case, we've got that European universities are in need of help. What is HELP? HELP is Higher Education Language Policy. Because are languages in jeopardy? Well, according to the European Journal of Language Policy, right, we really need some help because the higher education system needs to improve their strategy development and capacity for change, and also increase their quality culture. It's very important, of course, to work together with the European Association for Quality Assurance in Higher Education. Obviously, that also has to go hand in hand. But why are we crying? Why are we needing this type of help? Well, because sometimes there is a contradiction, and that is very human, between what is said, is needed, and what is done to promote it. Now, sometimes language, and in this case I'm talking about the language experts, language professors, language teachers, they say that sometimes there has been very good work in research for languages and innovative surveys, but that have no impact or follow-up from, let's say, from policymakers. So one thing that I was trying to do as a deputy minister regional deputy minister for university and research was trying to work with researchers. In which way? Well, for me, the results of projects, they have to be a benefit for society. It's not something that we are writing about in a journal, in a specific scientific review, but then that doesn't go to society. So as policy decision maker, in one of my projects that I was working with in Erasmus Key Action 3, we tried to work with some researchers and to find out what is the benefit, for example, of virtual exchange programs, right? What is the benefit? And when I had to draw some kind of decrees, or have to draw policies on digital use or digital tools for schools, I used the results of the researchers, because that's very important. So what we need to do is to make these results of researchers, we have to make them or we have to make them easy to access, or we have to send them to policymakers so that they can use them in the benefit of society. Because sometimes we make policies without having enough argument to draw the specific policy. So sometimes when I talk to these specialists, they say, what is the impact in policymakers, right? All this effort that we put into teaching languages, into making innovation, what is the effect? And in Europe, there has been also positive and not so positive, or let's say different ideas on this multilingualism. Now, when I started using the results of researchers, I talked to Andrula Vasiliou, who was the commissioner for multilingualism. There was a specific commissioner for multilingualism. But nowadays, when I was going to talk to the commissioner of multilingualism, they said there is no such a commissioner. It has been merged into It has been merged into the Commissioner of Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth. For me, that's a pity, because we need someone specifically to work for multilingualism. And from 2014, we don't have a commissioner specific for that. It has been merged into that. So I think that basically is very important to continue working with the different aspects of multilingualism. And at the same time, when European Union launches conferences, for example, there was an April conference in 2021. It's a conference on the future of Europe. The only response they received from European citizens was a retired person who said, I would like the EU countries to agree and ensure that in each country there are always free and easily accessible toilet facilities. right? Because when we are traveling around Europe, we don't know where to go and use the toilet. It is a pity that all these different efforts that the European Union is doing doesn't go to the different places where it should go. Now, what is the power of languages? Well, the power of languages is great, is big, and as you can read from here, I took one sentence or one phrase from Nelson Mandela, who said, "Talk to a man in a language, and he will go to his head or her head. But talk to him in his language or her language, and he will go to the heart." And that's very important. We have to think about that. The language, the power of languages is really important. To make an effort in teaching, learning some languages, even if they are not very perfect, right, then it's always worthwhile to use it. And I think that promoting multilingualism is taking people away from their comfort zone. Of course it is, but it's widening their expectations. And that is something that we really have to do and to continue doing. Now, the world needs communication, because if we have these turmoil times, it's because we don't have enough communication. Communication means to listen, to understand, to think over something, and then to respond, obviously. Because we have lots of digital tools in order to have information. But information is not only communication. We have said that many times. But we need to communicate. So the world is in desperate need of communication. And this type of alliances is going to be one of the key aspects to ensure and to ease the way for communication. Now, another sentence that I really liked from someone that I was reading was that language is the means of getting an idea from my brain into yours without surgery. That is important. That is important, and that is what you are doing here, all of you and all of us, trying to promote communication, to promote multilingualism, and to promote the use of language to communicate. Now, this is basically the end of what I wanted to do. As I knew, you were in different cities with different languages. I just wanted to say thank you in all the different languages. You have to excuse me because I could say thank you very much. I could say vielen Dank. I could say grazie. I could say merci beaucoup. I could say kiitos. The only one that was a bit difficult for me was to pronounce the Romanian thank you. But I think you could see it from there. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, and welcome to the University of Salamanca, and I hope, and I know, I'm sure, that the experience you share are going to be very important. In fact, I'm going to follow all your different workshops. I'm going to ask probably to watch some of your workshops so that I can have ideas to take to my own department and see if we can work with that. Thank you very much for bearing with me today. And have a great day. Well, not great days, because you're going to be here for some days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister, dear Pilar. As you know, she is not only an excellent communicator, but she knows what she's talking about. And this is one, in my opinion, one of the main important issues. Such critical and needed topics that need to be well understood, because sometimes we consider multilingualism like, well, if you know many languages, it's okay. If not, who cares? And as Professor Garcés has underlined, through the language, you arrive to the heart. Through the language, you are able to see, according to the view of the one whom you are talking to understand him and to follow him, what he means and what you want to communicate with him or her. And I think this is the best way. Language is the best mean, but it can also become a dangerous mean in order to destroy. Those societies that have not experienced such a multilingualism as Europe is doing have gone through very complicated situations, wars, invasions, and so on. And the language is the mean where we can understand each other, but not just at a superficial level, as Pilar has underlined. We have to learn how they think, how they reason, in order to enrich each other, in order to understand each other. And this is the unique way where Europe can feel really strong. Don't forget, we have gone through different world wars. Then at the end, we understood that in the diversity, looking for the rich part of the society is the best way to arrive at a commitment, a compromise. So thank you very much for coming. I'm going to give the word to our coordinator, who wants also to say some few words. Professor Thilly, please.
Let me indeed maybe first react to your beautiful speech and keynote, actually, because as you said, it was really a presentation from a professor. We really understood your expertise, but coming back to, let's say, more the policy side of your role, I would say first that let me thank you, because you expressed basically the vision that we are trying to put into practice. This is challenging, but we like challenges, let's say. We will hopefully succeed, and even if we don't fully succeed, we will have gone through steps which will change forever the way we are working together. And as you said, this will enhance the mutual understanding through the languages, but also through all activities that we are performing. And you are the excellent example of what we can have as a wise policymaker who understands what is a university, what it means to take decisions that are based on evidence, based on research expertise. And honestly, I wish that all policymakers would be like you at all levels, including at the Commission level and European level. So thank you very much for your hard work, because this is instrumental in how the universities are trying to help society. And of course, we know that there is always this tension that sometimes universities have been or still are seen as sort of ivory towers. But I think that these things are gone, in the sense that universities, typically through this initiative of alliances, but this was already there for many years, if not decades, they understood that part of their core mission is indeed this idea of connecting with society. But the whole question is society ready to hear what universities have to say? And are policymakers ready to hear what academics and students have to say? And this is indeed a very, very strong tension, because we know that policymakers have a quite short-term approach to problems, which can be easily understood because they need to respond. But the role of universities is to bring on board this long tradition of thinking, critical thinking. And what we are really trying in the EC2U Alliance is not just to extend the cooperation among the 7 universities through the multilingualism, through the different aspects of what are our missions, but it's also to embark the people around, the policymakers, the students, to create a true European community. We have, although you said indeed there is a diversity of languages, but there is a European identity. And this is what we want to make as the most obvious shared value. So indeed, when I was a bit earlier opening this forum, referring to a few years ago to the 800th anniversary of the University of Salamanca, that makes it one of the oldest in the world. There was at that time also a meeting on the Magna Carta that is really putting the values at the center of everything. And our society desperately needs values to be back to the center of our discussions. Not just short-term issues, but really, why are we making a society altogether? And multilingualism is a part of the bond, a part of the glue that makes us all together. And I hope actually that the alliances, and in particular EC2U, can bring a significant contribution to making this glue becoming very strong, and will change, hopefully, the European system and European policy diplomacy in a way, because we can be a model in the world. So hopefully the vision that you shared with us will be something that we can continue to count on for the next years. So thank you very much. I just wanted to react because what you said was actually very, very important. Thank you.
And now we don't have time for discussion because we are jumping to the next session. Anyway, I would love to thank you again on behalf of the University of Salamanca, but especially on behalf of the whole European campus of City University family and alliance. I knew that she was going to give us important points. In 25 minutes, we have received a whole structure of different points that are essential for what we are struggling for. So thank you again, really. And we count on you, not only with this contribution, but for supporting us as Deputy Minister. And I'm sure that, I know and I'm convinced that we'll just count on your support and energetic contributions for the future. Thank you again for coming. So